Welcome to the Body of Art Show with your host, professional fine artist and holistic art coach, Catherine Lucas. Join Catherine and her expert guests as they share insights and inspiring stories of transformation that will help you develop self-mastery and truly hone your craft. Now, learn to become the masterpiece that you are with your host, Catherine Lucas.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Body of Art Show. I'm your host, Catherine Lucas. Today, I want to talk about the number one complaint that many artists seem to have, and that is having enough time to create. As artists, we often struggle with time, and it's because the creative process actually operates independently of time. I'm sure at one point or other you've all experienced losing track of time when you are deeply involved in creating something. What seems like just 20 minutes passing turns out to be 5 hours. This is the case with me anyways. But in addition to that, many of us have time restraints in our typical day, whether we're working a full-time job and moonlighting as artists, or even as full-time artists who have other aspects of their business to run. At the end of the day, we may feel frustrated that we didn't get more art done. This was something that I struggled with for such a long time. In today's episode, I want to talk about the ways you can harness your time so that you can make more space in your schedule to create freely and consistently. But first, I just want to let you know how much I really appreciate you all taking the time out of your busy day to be here. I know your time is precious, and I want to give you as much value as I possibly can during our time together so that you leave feeling inspired and empowered. I also appreciate all the wonderful feedback that so many of you have given me about the show. It truly inspires me to be here with you each time and share any experiences, knowledge, or insights that may help you master your passion. I invite you to join me on my Facebook page, Holistic Art Coach Catherine Lucas, and go ahead and like it if you want. On this page, you can ask me questions, share your thoughts, accomplishments you achieved, or even challenges that you're currently facing. I encourage you to post a request for future topics that you would like to have on the show. Here, I'll post tips, inspirational messages, and answer any questions that you may have. As always, you can connect with me at my website, bodyofart.net. I put a link to my Facebook page on my website so that it's easy for you to find. You can always find more creative inspiration by joining Dave Bice and I on the Partnership for the Arts talk show, where we talk art. You can find all the episodes at partnershipfortheartsgroup.org. Here you'll find inspiring stories of transformation as well as insights from many other artists, including writers, musicians, and visual artists. Now, before we begin, I'd just like to remind you each time that the Body of Art Show is intended for educational, inspirational, motivational purposes. All thoughts and opinions expressed in this episode are my own reflections on the topic and don't purport to replace any other viewpoints. So absorb what resonates with you today and just release the rest. You know, creating art demands deep work, and deep work demands unadulterated time. Our daily lives are filled with both surface or shallow work and with work that demands deeper creative thinking. Many times the shallow work and our simple tasks are scattered throughout our day, and this prevents us from having the quality time we need for our deeper creative work. In order to have significant time to create our art, we must first establish that space in our calendar and schedule it in. Believe it or not, this conscious action will keep you accountable. Now, it may seem impossible at first glance when you look at all of your daily responsibility, but it's really not. And there is a way to open up time in your day and be consistent with creating your art. So let me share with you some of the ways that you can bring more time on your side and create art on a consistent basis so that you can put it out into the world. The first thing you need to do is to take an audit of your week. Look at each day by the hour and take account of where that time goes. You can even chunk it down into 15-minute increments. This will take a little time up front and may even feel a little daunting, but it'll really help you to see where your time and energy are going. When I did my audit, I found I wasted a great deal of time in between things and found things that seemed critical really turned out to be not that urgent after all. Once you take account of your time, the next thing you need to do is to take out the pruner shears and clear away any clutter off your schedule. In the same way that you would prune a bush by cutting away the dead branches, you need to trim away the non-essential activities in your day. This will allow you to devote more energy to the things that make you thrive. Think about how a plant can devote more energy to the branches that are thriving when you cut away the dead ones. This is also true for our lives. Here you can eliminate the things that you said yes to, but really aren't into. Maybe you were pressured by a friend or family member to attend a get-together or to volunteer for an event. Many of us who feel frustrated by not having enough time tend to be people pleasers. We think that we're being of service when we blindly say yes to everyone else's request, but if it's stressing you out and wearing you thin, then you're really not being of service to anyone. But that's a whole other topic in itself. Now just look at your schedule and weed out those non-essential activities. If you agree to do something, you can always change your mind. Just be honest and let others involved know it's causing you distress. But if you don't feel comfortable backing out of the things that you already committed to, at least from this point on, you can say no to future requests. For those pesky family members, the ones that don't take no for an answer, just tell them that you have an appointment at that time. They don't have to know that it's for you. For the most part, though, when you take your time seriously, so will everyone else. I found that I've gained more respect from others when I had more respect for myself and my time. This was a huge factor in me getting my time back. Now, after you weed out the trivial activities and commitments that don't serve your goals, take the time to plan your day and your week. Again, you're investing in a little upfront time that'll give you much more time later on. Many creatives fear that planning will hinder their creative flow, but there's nothing further from the truth here. When we take the time to sit down and organize our day and our week, it'll actually allow us to be much more productive and creative in the time we do have, because we won't be thinking about all the other things that need to get done. When we set an intention for a time slot, we tend to be more focused and actually more spontaneous within that time frame. It's a lot like creating a painting, simply because we're focused and very present to what we're doing. When I start a new painting, I automatically think about what I want to achieve and what it'll look like. I plan the format, composition, and color scheme through sketches and value and color studies. This preliminary work allows me to work more efficiently and freely on my painting than if I were just to start by meandering around the surface with a brush. Now, a great way to organize your time is through what's called block scheduling or time blocking. Here you map out what you want to accomplish, whether it's for the day, the week, or the month, and group your work into blocks of time, prioritizing the things that will get you closer to your goals faster. Now, as artists or creatives, we need to integrate two different kinds of time blocks. These are longer and shorter time frames. We need to set longer time frames for our creative work that's variable and even unpredictable, meaning that it depends on our unique artistic abilities and requires a sustained focus. Here, we need open, uninterrupted time to explore wherever our art may lead us. This is our deeper inward work. We also need to schedule blocks of time for our shallow work. These shorter time frames encompass our daily essential tasks or errands that don't require a lot of focus, and the time frame for these tasks are more predictable, so we can organize them logistically. This is our outer or peripheral work. I like to set time frames of 3 or more hours for my painting or other creative work, and set 90-minute time frames for any errands, emails, or bills that I have to pay. I also block my clients and students in particular days and group them into certain morning and afternoon times. The key to being most efficient with our time as artists is to learn how to organize these blocks of times, and this will involve some experimentation. The goal here is to optimize productivity. The first thing you need to establish is what time of day you have the best energy for deeper mental and creative work, where you can sustain your focus for a long time. For some, that will be in the first part of the day. For others, it'll be in the afternoon or even late into the evening. Personally, I do my best writing first thing in the morning, so that's when I schedule it in. I block out the first 2 hours of my day for working on my blog, podcast show, website copy, or other creative writing that I'm doing. My writing is even divided into which days I'll work on what. This is usually 6 to 8 a.m. before breakfast. On certain days, I teach art classes and privately coach artists, so these time frames are already blocked out on my schedule. On these days, I like to set my studio practice or painting time for the late afternoon or evening after I finish with my clients. This is when I do my best visual work. Since painting is a huge priority for me, I place it into the time of day that I can enter into that right brain mode more easily. Otherwise, I would do it in the morning and schedule my clients later in the day. On days that are fully devoted to painting, I still write in the morning, then I create smaller blocks of time, usually 60 to 90 minutes, to post to social media, answer emails, and get my non-essential daily tasks done. I work this schedule logistically. For example, I plan my sequence of errands into the shortest route possible. I even schedule time in for myself, which includes exercise. Now remember, self-care is vital if you want to work optimally. On my scheduled studio days, I have a nice 6 to 8 hour block of time after lunch to devote solely to my art. Since I don't have anything hanging over my head, I feel free to really deep dive into my work. This is the schedule that currently works for me. Every now and then, as things arise in your life, you need to readjust your schedule, but always keep your priorities first and foremost. This helped me with an urgent family situation that I needed to take care of last year. It interrupted my creative time for a while, but I made it a point to at least work on my art for an hour or two a day. This way I didn't become disengaged with the work I was doing, and it kept the momentum and connection there for me. And I found that no matter what circumstance, I could fit an hour or two into my day for my art. If you suddenly find yourself in a situation as a caregiver, block out at least an hour a day for yourself, maybe two, and not only will you stay connected to your art, but your art will greatly reduce the stress of your situation. One thing that will help you to organize your time into these blocks and get the most out of your day is to start with setting aside a 30 to 60 minute time block once a week to set your goals. First, reflect on your longer term goals and then chunk them down into mini weekly goals. From there, it's easier to set your daily goals. I usually do this on a Sunday evening. I schedule a 30-minute time frame to review my week and set my priorities for the next week. Once a month, I spend a little more time to see where I'm at with my longer term goals and make any necessary adjustments to my weekly and daily schedule. Remember, don't forget to schedule in some downtime during your day. It doesn't have to be long, just enough time to rest your mind between your different blocks. Think of school where you had breaks between each class to help you shift your focus from one subject to another. Analyzing your days and weeks may seem like it would stunt your creative flow and inhibit your spontaneity as a creative, but in reality, it does just the opposite. When we deliberately set time frames for tasks or goals, we'll actually work more freely within these frames and ultimately be more productive. Remember high school where we were allotted a specific time for each subject? When we were in history class, we didn't obsess about solving math problems. That was designated for another class and therefore out of mind during our history class. As a result, we got more out of our history class and better retained the lessons that we learned. That's because the intention to study history was set for that time frame. Intention summons attention, and attention or focus is what makes us prolific. Now, as we wrap up today's show, I just want to impart to you that the best way to effectively use your time is to schedule it in. If you don't put it down on the calendar, it most likely won't happen. There's something about physically writing down your goal or intention that will keep you accountable to it. Marking it on your calendar is like staking a claim for yourself. Managing my time like this has actually given me more time to stop and smell the roses in my life. It allows me to be much more spontaneous and productive with my creative time. And at the end of the day, I can look back with satisfaction on the work that I've accomplished and the progress I've made toward my goals instead of feeling overwhelmed and stressed out by the things that didn't get done. when I complete my day feeling satisfied, I really feel motivated and inspired to start the next day's work. Well, I want to thank you all again for listening to the show today. I really appreciate you taking the time to be here and would love to hear any comments that you have about today's episode. You can do this by subscribing to the Body of Art Show on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, or TuneIn Radio and leave any comments there. I invite you to leave your review and ratings on iTunes as well. Don't forget to join me on my Facebook page, Holistic Art Coach Catherine Lucas, to let me know what you think about today's episode. And remember, you can always connect with me on my website, bodyofart.net. That's spelled BODYOFART.net. Here you can find all of my previous episodes and opt in for my podcast sign up. That way, every show will be sent directly to your inbox so that you don't have to go looking for it each time. Meanwhile, please stay tuned for more insights, advice, and inspiration in the next episode. Until next time, I want to leave you with this one masterpiece of insight by author Julie Connor. In her book, Dreams to Action Trailblazer Guide, she states, "When you streamline your schedule by making deliberate decisions about tasks and activities that are crucially important to you and identify your most important priorities, you give yourself permission to make choices that excite and interest you. You also grant yourself permission to exercise your right to say no thank you." On that note, I empower you to take charge of your art and become the masterpiece that you are.
You've been listening to The Body of Art Show, hosted by Catherine Lucas. The Body of Art Show has been brought to you by Body of Art Enterprises Incorporated, your source for individualized art mentorship and coaching. Our mission is to educate and support aspiring artists to step into their own personal power and master their passion. To learn more, go to bodyofart.net.